Hi, I'm Jonathan Boyd. I'm here today to discuss a global crisis called gluteal amnesia. Many people spend the majority of their day in a non-active seated position, like driving in a car, sitting on a couch, or working in an office. The butt muscles become dormant for lack of use and forget how to engage. In extreme cases, they can completely atrophy. The good news? The glutes can return, especially in the Bowspring practice. Consistent feedback from Bowspring students is that their butt muscles get stronger and a little bigger. In today's class, it'll be useful to have a wall handy to do some handstand exercises, and I'll also use a block for a few postures just to make them more accessible. It is going to be a level 2 practice, and we'll jump right into it. So please begin in crouching cat. Separate your hands as wide as your mat and separate your feet as wide as your mat as well. Bring your shoulders over your wrists and push your arms all the way to straight. As you push your arms straight, lift your rib cage higher. Keep a subtle bend in your knees and tilt your sit bones high up into the air. Push your feet away from each other. Push your knees away from each other. Use that to lift your sit bones higher. Lift your glutes up. When the glutes are properly engaged, they mound upwards. Then lean to your right hand and dome your left hand. Stage 1, stay here. Stage 2, lift your left hand and cup the back of your head. Point your elbows straight down. Keep your right arm straight and your rib cage lifting high, and move your hips further back. Then lower your left hand, dome to bright, and switch sides. Lean to your left, dome your right hand. Move the hips back. Push the left arm straight. Make the rib cage light and lift your right hand. Cupping the back of your head, point your elbow straight down and push your head into your hand. Lift your chin out of your chest, reach your elbow forward, stretch your belly long. Then lower your right, dome to bright. Looking forward between your hands, just step your right foot between the hands and rise up into side coil position. Turn your back foot flat to the floor and bring your right forearm to your thigh. Cup the back of your head, left hand. Stage 1, stay here. To go a little bit further in a level 2 variation of side coil, turn the back foot in more, lift your heel, sit your hips low, and then lean over towards the right and take your hand to the floor or to a block outside your mat. So not just to the outside of your foot, but even further. Then sit your hips back towards your left heel, lift your chin out of your chest, and reach your elbow towards the front of your mat. And you can use a pulse where you exhale and sit your hips low, and then inhale and reach the elbow more forward. Continuing with your breath. Then lower your back heel down, rise back up, but place your hand to the outside of your shin and reach your left arm straight forward in front of you. Prepping for a triangle, the Bowspring variation. Instead of tucking the tailbone under, lift the butt muscles up, keep your hips moving back, and start to work your right leg a little straighter. Find a place where it's both strong and long. With your left hand, curl your fingers together in seed hand position. Push your arms straight, broaden through your upper back, and twist from right to left. As you twist, work the right leg a little straighter. Then turn towards the floor. Option to take the block with you. Place your hand about 20-30 centimeters in front of your foot and lift your left leg into the air for half moon. In half moon, bend your lifted leg and place your hand to your knee. Bend your standing leg, sit your hips back. As you push the knee forward into your hand, sit the hips further back, lift your knee more to the side. Then turn to the floor, place both hands down and hitch kick. Switch from one foot to the other. Try to land light. And after you tire yourself out, step back and come down into all fours position. As you lower your knees, notice if your rib cage lowers as well. So push your arms straight, make your rib cage light so it buoys like a flotation device on the surface of the ocean. But as the rib cage lifts, allow your belly to get heavy. And with the belly heavy, point your toes back behind you and start to push your knees out to the side. And then don't push your knees to the side. Then push your knees out, and then don't. Push your knees out, and then don't. Push your knees out again, and then keep your knees out. Notice how that will ignite and light up the glute muscles. The dormant volcano has now become active. Be careful for any toxic gases that might be venting to the surface. Then lean to your right and lift your left leg out to the side. Dome your left hand. Pull the left knee forward. Sit your hips further back towards your right heel. Lift your chin. Gaze slightly forward. Then lower your left hand down, lower your left knee, and switch sides. Open leg right. Keep the back of your knee 90 degrees and dome your right hand. You can tilt your left ear towards your shoulder. Push your knees forward to sit your hips back. Then lower your knee, lower your hand. Second time, first side. Left leg goes out to the side. This time option can stay in dome hand left hand or ecstasy the left hand. Chin out of your chest. Reach your elbow forward. Sit your hips back. Push your knees out to the side. Recruit your glute muscles to be strong. Then lower your left hand and switch sides. Lift your right leg out to the side. Dome your right hand. Move your hips back so you're less weight bearing in your left hand and cup the back of your head right. Hug the elbow in. Broaden through your upper back. Sit your hips back towards your heel. And then lower your knee, lower your hand. Tuck your toes under and lift back up, crouching cat position. Keep the arms strong, knees slightly bent, tilt your sit bones high. Then looking between your hands, this time step your left foot forward, spin your back foot flat, and rise up into side coil position. Position your left hand in seed, forearm to your thigh, and sit your hips back so your low back moves in and up. Again, option to take the block and place it even further than the outside of your mat. Sit your hips low and then lift your chin out of your chest. Reach. Sit hips low and then reach. Embrace the pulsation. Embrace the movement. One of the reasons that the glutes disappear is there isn't enough bouncing, jumping, running, skipping, or my personal favorite, prancing. Then place your left hand to the outside of your shin. Reach the right arm in front of you. Triangle position for bowspring. If you tuck under, it's fairly easy to straighten the front leg. So keep both knees bent and sit your hips back towards the right heel. Then start to work the left leg a little straighter, a little straighter. If you're less flexible, you'll find the stretch almost immediately. If you're more flexible, emphasize building strength instead of length. Then turn to the floor. You can bring the block with you, half moon variation. Both knees bent. move your outer left thigh back and push your right knee forward into your hand. A way to get instant glute engagement is even to pulse the standing leg. You'll get the left glute for free just by doing that pulsing. Can you create engagement in the right glute simultaneously? I don't know, can you? Then turn to the floor, hitch kick. Switch from one foot to the other. You're welcome to go a little bit more side to side, so it's like a little half cartwheel. Just finding a little play and a sense of lightness. Then move it back, crouching cat position, but bring the feet together at the back of the mat. With the feet together, drop your heels to the right and then dome your left hand. In preparation for side chair, bend your knees and bring the bottoms of your feet flat to the floor. And with the feet down, then lift the left hand up and cup the back of your head. So it's a slightly shorter stance than side plank. Bend your knees, sit your hips back, tilt your ear to your shoulder, and lift the side rib cage higher. Pulse up and down. Then lift the left leg, cross the ankle in front of the knee, turn to the floor, left hand down, bring your shin to the floor, point your back toes, and lower your elbows for Falcon pose. Falcon or Falcon? Falcon or Falcon? Push your elbows, lift your rib cage, pull your rib cage forward. Push your knees forward to keep the hips moving back. Think of someone even holding your hips and pulling them backwards. Then push your knees out to the side and use that action to lift the butt muscles upward. From Falcon, moving into Wilder Thing, hands under the shoulders, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee and front leg simultaneously. Swing the left leg back and then around, foot to the floor, Wilder Thing. Sit your hips back to your heel, lift your chin out of your chest, reach your elbow up, and then pulse up and down, up and down. Turn back to the floor and go over to the other side. So feet together, side chair, bend your knees, sit your hips back. Like side plank, but knees bent, feet flat. Then right hand cups the back of your head and pulse. Find a rhythm. Find a fluidity. Be less static. Then lift your right leg up, cross ankle in front of knee, turn to the floor, and bring your shin down, point your back toes, and bring your elbows down, one by one. With the elbows down, push them down and pull them back, move the ribs forward. Think of the rib cage going forward and the hips going back. So if you're already open in your hips, let this be a posture where you strengthen the muscles around the pelvis. If you're less open, you'll still probably get the same stretch you would in classical pigeon. Wilder Thing, left side. So hands under the shoulders, tuck the back toes, lift the right leg as well, and then send the right leg back behind you, knees bent, cup the back of your head, and pulse up and down, up and down, up and down. Then turn back to the floor, crouching cat position. You're welcome to continue that bend and extend of your legs, or cat burglar 5 times, which means hop forward and back, light and quiet. Eventually hop forward, then rise up, recovery position. If you're winded, palms to knees. If you still have a little bit more juice in the tank, fingertips to the middle of your thighs. Take a deep breath in, close your eyes, open your mouth, deep breath out. Again, even breathe in through your mouth and exhale. Then reach your arms forward in front of you, bend your elbows and cup the back of your head, ecstasy arms position. Curl your fingers, reach your elbows more forward so your upper back broadens, push your head back into your hands, and then lift your wrists and your elbows simultaneously. With the knees bending forward, move your groins down and back, and push your knees out to the side to encourage the butt muscles to lift upward. Then arc over towards the right. As you arc to the right, tilt your ear to your shoulder and lift the left side shoulder blade higher. Stage 1 here. Stage 2, cross your right hand low. Hold the outside of your left knee. Gently pull the knee with your hand, but push your knee back into your hand as you tilt and lean all the way over to the right. Come back up and switch sides. Lean over to the left. You're welcome to tick-tock in and out of the pose. And the tick-tock could be just your torso moving, or it could also be a pumping action with the legs bending and extending. Next time you lean over to the left, cross your left hand low, hold the outside of your knee, push your knees forward, push your knees out, and then twist from left to right. Lift the elbow high. Support your head with your hand. And then come all the way back up. Reach your arms forward in front of you. Bend your elbows and bring your hands into globe hands. With your hands in globe, weight your right foot and lift your left heel to hover. Push your foot forward to move your hips back. Then drag your foot back to tone the back of the leg muscles as you lift it into the air. Hinge slightly forward and step your foot back into a lunge position. Turn your knees in slightly to send the hips further back. And once you send the hips further back, then push your knees out to the sides. Allow your heel to drop closer towards the floor. As you push the fingers into each other, engage your arms. Keep the hands as low as your navel, but push the hands forward as you press the fingers into each other. And then tilt to the right. So lower your left ear towards your left shoulder as you twist to the right. Keep the hips moving back, back heel hovering, and you're welcome, if you want a little extra challenge, to lift your front heel away from the floor as well. Just know if too much is too much. Too much is when teeth start falling out of your mouth. That's too much. And then turn back to center. Pump the legs. Feel the glutes, particular probably the right glute. Push off, lift the left leg into the air. Pump the leg a few times in propeller. And then step the foot down and immediately go right over to the other side. Lift your right heel, dig your foot forward, send your hips back, drag your foot back, lift the foot into the air, and step it back into a shorter lunge. Shorter because the back knee is forward of the hips. Hips moving back. Keep your rib cage as vertical as you can. Allow yourself to pulse, to sway, to find a lightness, so it's fluid. It's not hard, it's not rigid, and it's also not just relaxing on the couch watching Netflix like every other evening. Then as you sit back, twist over towards the left, lower your right ear to your right shoulder, lift the left side body. Option to lift your front heel to hover as you keep your hips moving back. Push the fingers into each other. Get your arms strong and engaged. Then front heel down, turn back to center, pump off the back leg, and then lift it into the air, and then pump 3 times. And return right foot to meet left foot. Then weight your right foot, lift your left foot, and step it back into side coil position again. This time though, in side coil, option to go into a bind. So reach your right shoulder low towards the inside of the knee, and then interlace your fingers behind the back of your leg. So the bind can be a bind. If that's too much, just stay in the first version, forearm to thigh. Then twist towards the left. Keep your gaze just in the same direction as your chest. So no requirement to look up or look all the way forward. Even practice is moving weight front foot to back foot. Then sit your hips towards your left heel and work your right leg a little straighter. And I'm a poor example of bound triangle in Bowspring. This is as straight as my leg goes because of the stretch to the back of the leg. That's as far as I go. That's straight to me. So just being aware, too much is too much. There's no requirement to get the form all the way to straight. Embrace the strength. Then bend back into the knee, having a little bit of fun here. Weight your right foot. Lift your left leg up into the air for bound half moon pose. Focus on a point on the floor, maybe a drop of sweat that just came down off your nose. Hold steady and strong, then release the bind. Touch your hands down, and instead of just hopping from foot to foot, hop with your right foot and try to cross your ankle in front of your left knee, like in Falcon position. This is called kick and catch. I'll try to show it here. So you hop up and try to cross. Hop up and cross. And that's sort of just kick and touch. Eventually, try to get all the way up where you can catch it, push the knee forward, and move the hips back. Try a couple more hops, and then make your way back into all fours position, just hands and knees. And hands and knees can seem like a rest because it's relatively simpler than being in a handstand position. Push the tops of your feet down with your toes pointed and your knees forward to move your hips back. Then push your knees out to the side, engage your glutes. So when your feet have something to press into, knees have something to press into, you have the added advantage to tone more. Then weight the right side, lift your left leg out to the side. As you did before, dome your left hand. And then as you sit your hips back, work your left leg straighter out to the side. And then rebend the knee, knee down, hand down, and switch sides. Right leg out to the side, sit your hips back, and then from there start to work your leg straighter out to the side. Then rebend the knee, knee down, hand down. Keep the toes pushing down, front of your ankles lifted, and then move your hips back enough that you can dome both hands, walk the hands back slightly, and then from there, slowly rise up, globe with both hands. Push the fingers into each other, push your knees out to the side, lift your glutes up, then rise up tall. This time join the palms of your hands together, thumbs to the top of your head, crown hands, lift your head up, Send your hips back and then lean back. Make your rib cage light so it lifts and it's buoyant. Curl, curl back, then come back up. Cup the back of your head with just your left hand and reach back with your right hand towards your right heel. Sit your hips back, push your toes down, press your head into your hands. As you twist over towards the right, drop right ear towards your right shoulder. Think of it as a side body stretch for the left side. Then push off your back hand, come back up, and switch sides. Cup the back of your head right, sit your hips back, reach back with your left hand, hold your heel. The twisted camel, camel that's become a little demented. Sitting the hips back, left ear towards your left shoulder, curl, 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 lift your chin, sit back, and then turn back to center, crouching cat position again. This time in crouching cat, you can just pulse the legs. Instead of hopping forward and back 5 times, hop on the spot 5 times. And try to get a little bit higher every time, so it's not just shoot for handstand on the first one. Try to make the 5th one the one that you hold. Yes, 5th one, got it. And then recovery position, hands to knees. It usually helps to breathe in handstand, but sometimes when you're holding it, it's just, I'm gonna be okay. Close your eyes and place your hands to the outside of your knees. So with your hands to the outside of your knees, it's just a subtle action of pushing your knees out to the sides, not turning the knees out to the sides, but making the movement be equal at the front of your knees and the back of your knees. So pushing the knees out, pushing the upper thigh bones wider to lift the glute muscles. And then reach your arms forward in front of you. Cup the back of your head with both hands and arc over to the left. This time as you arc to the left, option to weight your left foot completely, drag your right foot into the air, and then start to lean, lean, lean over to the left. I'll probably need the block on this one. So holding the block to go into blue moon position. So it's kind of like half moon, but you only do it once every so often. Lean, 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 ear to shoulder, right leg higher. Those who are a bit more flexible, you could cascade and take your right hand to the floor and spin your chest to face more forward as you lift the right leg more vertical. I am not demonstrating that right now. Just getting into blue moon is once in a blue moon. Then inhale, slowly rise back up. Bring the block if you used it, and you can go over to the other side. Cup the back of the head left, lean over towards the right, lift your left foot, and then slow and steady, hand down to the floor or the block, tilt ear to shoulder, lean, lean back, and option more cascade, take the left hand down. This would actually be beneficial if I had a second block that was even higher than the first block. And then keep the block down and slowly rise all the way back up. Both hands to your knees, recovery position, close your eyes. Deep breath in and deep breath out. This time reach both arms in front of you and curl your fingers into seed hands. So just a soft fist. Then bend both elbows and bring your two seats together. Weight your left foot. Dig drag your right foot. Lift it up and take a little step back into that lunge position. Transitioning to your knee down, lift your back foot momentarily, point your toes, and bring your shin to the floor. Keep your back ankle lifted, then cup the back of your head right, reach back with the left hand to hold the heel for back to the future pose. Are you telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean? That's a quote from Back to the Future. Push off the back hand, rise back up. Tuck the back toes, push your arms into seat, pull down with your hands, lift the back knee, and then push and lift all the way up. Keep the right leg lifted. Reach back, hold over top your toes with your right hand, and then rebound 5 times. Bow forward, tap the floor. Embrace any shake or jelliness in your legs. And then switch the other side. 2 seats together, right foot down, dig drag left, step your foot back, bring your shin to the floor, ecstasy left, reach back right hand, sit your hips back, tilt your ear towards your shoulder, lift the left side rib cage, stretch your belly long, and pulse the legs a little bit. Then turn back to center, both arms in front of you, tuck your toes, lift your back knee, push off, lift the left foot into the air, and then hold over top your toes, left hand, and rebound. Touch down, kick back, rise up. 3 more times. 2 + 3 is 5. 2 more. And then lower your left foot. Hercules clasp your hands. Weight your left foot. Dig drag right. And slowly step your foot back into side coil position. But then again, go down for the bind. So shoulder towards the inside of your knee. Reach underneath your leg and touch fingers. Some like to hold wrist or elbow, so the reacher is the grabber. So in this case, the left hand would hold the right wrist or right elbow. I like to give myself as much room as possible. I just go fingertips. Side coil, bend your front leg deep, twist towards the right. Look at some sort of blank wall, or maybe at home you have a beautiful picture you can look at and imagine you're on some tropical beach. Now, option to start to stretch your front leg straighter, with no requirement to get all the way to straight, especially by keeping the low back in and up. Push, push, push the leg straighter. Keep it strong and active. And then this is where it gets challenging. There might be more drops of sweat to look at now. Lean into your left leg. Lift your right leg up into the air. Bound half moon pose. Embrace the challenge. You're begging to get off that leg now. Wiggle, wiggle, wobble, wobble. And then both hands to the mat. Pause. And do your best to kick and catch. You might be a bit fatigued at this moment in time. So hop up, tap your knee. If you can hook it, that's when it becomes easy. By pushing the knee into the ankle, it keeps the hips further back. And then move back, crouching cat. Turn both knees to the left. Bring your right hip to the floor. Right arm long. And lie on your side for side bow. Bring your left hand in front of you in dome hand. And lift your left leg just to hover. With the left foot in front of you, think of that dig action where you push the foot down and forward. Down, in this case, is towards the back of your mat, and forward is to the left side of your mat. To move your hips further back. Then reach your arms in front of you, roll over onto your back with your arms vertical. Lift your feet to the height of your knees, push your arms straight, and lower your legs halfway to the left, arms halfway to the right. Add a little bit of a bicycle pedal action. And if you're bicycle pedaling, you can even tread water with the arms. This is also one of my dance moves that I bring out only at special weddings. And then other side. Arms to the left, legs to the right. Push your arms straight. And then bicycle pedal the legs. And you don't really have to tread water with your arms. I just wanted to see if you do it. Some of you did. That makes me happy. Okay, and then back to center. Lower your feet down. Bring your arms alongside you. Pause. Then bring your hands into chin-up bar position. So you do that by starting vertical. Turn your palms to the front of your mat, bend your elbows, and touch your fingertips down. Then lift your feet to the height of your knees. We'll go both legs simultaneously. Drop your feet down to touch the floor, and then bring your legs back up. And continue that. Keep your low back slightly lifted away from the floor. And notice how that will still tone the front belly, but there'll be an even tone throughout the whole waist. Then keep your legs lifted. Bring your hands into globe hands above your chest. Push your head down and lift your rib cage up away from the floor. So it's hard to see in the video, but my shoulders, my ribs, upper back are floating away from the floor. So the only part touching the floor is the back of the head and the back of the pelvis. You can move a little from side to side or even bicycle pedal the legs. Okay, and then rib cage down, feet down, right arm overhead, roll to your left and push your way back up, all fours position. In all fours, push your knees forward, sit your hips back, push your knees out, lift your glutes up. Then tuck your toes, turn your knees out to the sides, walk your hands back towards your feet, come into a deep squat position, hold your knees and lift your knees up, drop your groins down, then cup the back of your head, both hands, get fired up with your glutes, rocket boosters, and lift all the way up. Heels back down, arms alongside you. Now's the time to go find that wall. And if you got some furniture there, just move the furniture out of the way. You have some sort of beautiful graduation photo of yourself, just take it down any diplomas, anything like that. Get a bare space of wall and bring your back to the wall, hands to your knees. Move your hips back, then bring two seats together. Hinge forward at your hips, bring your hands down. Because it's level 2, level 1 is more walk the feet up one at a time. But level 2, hop your feet up and take your feet to the wall. Then once you've hopped the feet up, move from hand to hand to bring the hands closer So you can move the hips up over the shoulders, even beyond the shoulders, to eventually balance. In the bowspring variation of handstand, the hips go past the shoulders. Make sure you have enough oxygen to come out. So walk forward and then try to come down both feet simultaneously. Recovery position, hands to knees, deep breath in and deep breath out. Next variation is to turn the other way and try to touch the wall with your pelvis first. So the very back of your pelvis is the triangular shaped bone at the bottom of your spine, your sacrum. Let that be the first part that touches the wall and not your feet. So showing that, bring the hands about 5 centimeters to the wall. Might have to tuck the chin in just a little bit. And it's okay to hop a few times so you don't just rocket yourself in. And then when you hop up, try to hop with your butt first and keep the feet away from the wall. And for some, that'll be your practice over and over and over and over and over again for maybe about 4 or 5 months, getting to the point where you have the wall there and you're hopping up and you're just stopping before the wall and eventually holding. You won't hold in the middle of the room until you can hold with the wall 1 or 2 centimeters behind you. Okay, if you've gotten proficient at that, it'll be the same idea. Hop up. Oop, not all the way. Hop up, sacrum to wall, and then bicycle the legs. And this actually becomes a little bit fun after a while. Just so that you're not going up and getting all rigid and hard, because that's when you lose the opportunity to bounce. But if you can sway, if you can also do this with your arms at the same time, you get extra bonus points. I don't know who would be able to do that, but maybe there's someone. Instagram's an amazing thing. It'll always show someone who can do something. And then the final one is just practicing coming down very, very, very slow from that position. So hopping up, back of the pelvis to the wall, and then okay to bend the knees, bring the knees in close to the chest as you come down to go as slow as possible. So demoing. Again, didn't hop all the way up. There we go. To hop up slow requires you to learn how to come down slow. Ooh. Try that a few times. Obviously, handstands are not considered wrist therapy. So a good way to stretch out the backs of the wrists is to have your palms in front of you, cross your thumbs in front of your palms, wrap your fingers around, and push your knuckles forward. You can drop your lips lower, and you can pulse your hands and add a whimper. Okay, if you're tired out, well, actually, we're just going to move on. You can pause, keep doing that again and again and again and again and again. But return back to your normal space. Just standing facing forward. Push your arms straight. Weight your right foot, lift your left foot. Step it back. Come down to a kneeling position. Point your toes. Press the front of the ankles to lift up. And then cup the back of your head, both hands. Arc over to the left, sit your hips back, come back up, and arc over towards the right. And come back up. And then reach your arms forward, hands down, Tuck your toes, lift your knees, and bring your left hip to the floor. Reach your left arm long and lie onto your side body. Right arm in front of you and dome hand. Push the right foot forward. I have an advantage here. I could use the wall to push into to move the hips back. Then both arms in front. Roll onto the back. Wiggle back to the center of the mat. Hands in chin-up bar position. Lift your hips up. Bridge pose. This is where I'll use the block. It's handy to place underneath the back of the pelvis, not the low back, back of the pelvis. Drop the hips down. Lift the belly up. And then option here in bridge to go one leg up. I'm not doing that on purpose. That's full effort. And other leg. And then foot back down. Remove the block, bring the hips to the floor. You're welcome to go up into bridge pose again, or up into wheel pose. And bowspring variation of wheel is called wave. It can start in wheel position, and you just drop your hips down like we did in bridge pose. I do not show it very dramatically though, so I tend to stick more to a wheel formation. Put hands beside the ears, push with the hands and feet, and lift up. Then now that I'm up, wave is starting to drop the hips down, but that's as far as I go. I don't go as dramatic as many of my students. Then tuck your chin, come all the way down. Keep the low back slightly lifted. You could actually slide your forearm underneath your low back. And then keep your left foot flat and hold the back of your right thigh. Extend the leg up into the ear. Push your thigh into your hands. Then lower your foot and switch sides. Hold the back of the left thigh and work your leg straighter. Then lower your foot, lift both knees, bring your fingertips to the front of your thighs, just near your knees, and start to push your fingers into your thighs and your thighs back into your fingers, just ever so subtly, just enough till you feel a tone and engagement, a sheath wrapping around your waist on all sides, freedom abs position. And then once you've harnessed that strength, hands in chin-up bar position, and lower your legs halfway over to the right for a twist. Keep the elbows pointing up, upper back broad and pressing down. And then come back up and go the other side. Legs to the left, elbows pointing up, head pressing down. And then come back up. Hold on to your knees, freedom position. Then one by one, extend your legs out for assimilation. Arms alongside you. And close your eyes. And there's a time and place for active postures, and there's a time of place for passive. So after spending time to remember, to awaken, the amnesia, the muscles that have forgotten. We give those muscles time to recuperate, to recover. So they can become stronger. And take a deep breath in and deep breath out. Slowly reawaken your body, performing any movements that feel natural. Stretch long and roll to one side to come up to the seated position. And fold your hands together. Namaste.